We're talking here about microsegmentation, and we're not talking about segmentation, because there's kind of a difference between segmentation and microsegmentation. Is that one, like, just by the name you know it, like one is more in depth and one is more like high level. And where you want to go is microsegmentation, because that's what is closer from the personalization. For example, a segmentation would be a generic characteristic like IP address, location, hour of visit. While when you think about personalization, that's where we're going to have like elements that are specific to individual or almost specific to everyone. So that's why you need to create really, really small segments that are so granular that you're able to target people that are almost unique people or unique people that have characteristics that are unique to them or unique to those different groups. So now that we can dig, now that I kind of covered the basics of kind of the ground level of what is personalization, segmentation, microsegmentation. In terms of segmentation, you have like 4 types of segmentation that you can do. You can do the persona. So when we talk about persona, we're talking about people that let's say like different type of groups. So people that will only want to navigate your website. So like the let's say the window shoppers, the searchers, that will be people that have an objective in mind. The deal hunters, the people that will look for discounts. The buyers that are like the punctual buyers, those that are in emergency type of buying, like let's say their barbecue stopped working and they had something cooking on the barbecue. Well, they need a new barbecue, or they need some like they need the gas to make it work, or they need more like wood or whatever you need for barbecue, depending on what type of barbecue that you have. But like that's an emergency type of things. Like I need it right now, so they're gonna buy it right now. So that's the first type of segmentation you can have, like personal oriented. And then after that, you have context. When we talk about context, you have the keywords that are looked, the source that a person is coming from, the month of the year, the month of the month, the season of the year, season of the month, the information that are known, like if that person is connected or if that person is disconnected from the platform, if it's a platform, the device that is used, the geographic information like the location, the weather, the time zone, if it's the day of the week, the moment of the day. So all of these things are context. And one example I can give you is, let's say that you are walking on the street with your phone and it's super sunny out there. So like a simple context for you could be just, okay, that person is walking, so that person is kind of quote unquote in a rush, and that person have lots of sun, so the screen is really like kind of pale, like because of the sun you can see pretty much things. And because you're walking and you are on your phone, you maybe have big fingers, and like your finger might slip, you're not maybe 100% concentrated, so that like the buttons of your interface needs to be bigger. So like all of these little things are really small details, but when you think about it, the context is also really important. And it can be also just be the weather. So if it's rainy, let's say if it's super sunny out there, you don't want to sell an umbrella and say, oh yeah, it's raining out there, you should have an umbrella, when it's not, right? So you want to make sure that you're relevant. And at the same time, you have the behavior. Well, the behavior is based on the previous interaction of the people that they were having that they had on the web with your platform, your website, your app, whatever it is that you're selling. These are the interaction that the person might have in terms of behavior with you. But it also goes within the page that are viewed, the content that is downloaded, the triggers that have been triggered, or the events that have been triggered, the products that have been bought, the time that have been passed on the website, the page that have been visited multiple times, per session or per the whole visit. So that kind of define the interest of that person. So let's say you are on a B2B type of website, and on your website you are having pharmaceutical and construction. If someone in all of the visit went to pharmaceutical, or let's say 80% of the visit it went on pharmaceutical, well, you can guess that person is more interested into pharmaceutical than construction, right? So these are little detail that in terms of behavior is important to know, because you want to target the right message, the right offer for that person, and also depending of the context where that person is located within the funnel. And finally, there's the demographic of the person, which is for the user, it's the name, the job title, the birth date, the status of the user. Is that a visitor? Is that a prospect? Is that a client? The interest that the person has, the needs, the expectations, the preferences, or what the person like or what the person do not like, the stage within the sales funnel, as I was talking about, and then the information about the company. So who are the competitors? What are the products and the services that are offered? What are the news that are linked to the business that you are trying to reach out to? And then there's the firmographic data, which are like the industry that you are serving, the number of employees, the annual revenue, and the location. So like all of these 4 categories, which is persona, context, behavior, and demographic, are the 4 main type of really advanced segmentation that you can do.
So how do you, so let's say I am a solar company, solar panel company. So how do I start with segmentation and with microsegmentation, considering that I might not have the most advanced tools in the market? How can I just get started with it?
Right, that's a good question. So an easy way to get started, because in solar there's in most cases about 4 top categories, I would say. There's a little bit more, but there's the utility scale, manufacturers, commercial, and residential. There's more than that, but that are just kind of the top first ones that are more important. So depending of which one you're interested in too, depending on the visitor, that whether person is part of which category, you can adapt the content of your website for it. So it's not relevant for someone that is a residential client to send them to just a generic page where you let them navigate within your website and maybe themselves pick the category, right? If that person have always been in residential, if you're doing paid advertising to reach out to residential customers, you should just take out all of the options from the website that are not residential. You should just focus your whole website on residential, because you are already targeting people from residential, so you know who you're talking to. So you're not advertising to reach out to commercial businesses. You're reaching out to residential customers. So that's why like all of these little things can change. Or if you are part of an, let's say, HVAC system, you can do that for residential, commercial, but all of that. But HVAC is kind of broad. You can have like air conditioning, heating, let's say air cleaning. I'm not super familiar with HVAC, but it gives you an idea of like the different market. So when you do, let's say, a campaign for air conditioning, you don't have to change your whole website. You can just link to the air conditioning section, and instead of leaving your menu with all of the other section, you can just adapt your menu and adapt all of the information in the navigation bar with anchors in the page to anchor to different categories of air conditioning that you can have. It can be like pricing, can be by like BTUs or things like that. So you can do that. So that way you change your website without changing it. You just personalize the landing page to make it look like a landing page without having to create a landing page. You just convert your website within the landing page by changing the elements in the page.
So let's say that you have this campaign that brings organic traffic somehow, and the traffic is not segmented. It's just general traffic to a homepage.
Yeah.
How do you apply, or what are the ways to apply micro-segmentation in that kind of scenario, where you have just a bunch of people and in a general website, and there you might have different groups by either by they're looking for pricing or speed in the service or whatever. So how do you apply micro-segmentation in that kind of scenarios?
So if is it a first visitor user, first time
That's a really
visitor
good
user?
question. Yeah, that's a really good question. It is a first, just to make it difficult. It is the first time that visitor gets there.
Perfect, perfect. So yeah, if it's a first time visitor user, well, in that case, you have zero information on that person unless that person comes from an ad. If that person comes from an ad, you have all of the information from the ad that you can transfer from the ad to the website. So you can do that. But let's say that person is organic, like you have good SEO, you have no information on that person, literally zero. Well, the only thing that you can do is from that on, from the moment that the person comes on the website, you have to ask questions. Like, people are scared. People will think that because you don't know, you should know. But this is not true. Like, it's not because you don't know that it's wrong that you don't know, right? I mean, we go to school to learn because we don't know. So is school wrong? No. It just means that we don't know and we want to know. So you have to ask questions. So when a person comes on a website, what you have to do is there's two different type of approach. There's the one that is where you ask, literally, that when the person comes in, you know that, let's say, a bank, you have individual and you have businesses. So the bank could just ask, who are you, like individual or let's say a business, and the person pick. And from the moment that the person pick, every time that the person goes on the website, you put a lot more emphasis on the individual side than the business side because the person picked the individual side. So I'm not saying that you are hiding the business side, because that person could also run a business. But what it means is that you put much more emphasis on it. Same thing as if you have English, French, Spanish, like language on top of the website. Like, it's just like a little subtle. You can still change it, but like most people will not put much attention to that little space because they're not looking for it. But if you, let's say you've been targeted as an individual and you now want to look for the business side of the website, you're gonna look for it, and so you'll find it in the top and you'll be able to change it easily. But if you're not looking for it, you won't see it. So that's the first approach. Really ask for it and kind of make the change about it, so it's just relevant for that person. So everything is relevant. So let's say that we talk about insurance, and we have the two example, business, individual. But for that, depending on where you dig for, let's say a car insurance. Do you look for an apartment insurance? Do you look for a house insurance? Do you look for a life insurance? Like, whatever type of insurance you're looking, depending of the different type of pages that you're going to be able to look at, you can define the type of profile that a person is, and then which profile that person is part of, which kind of lead to the second approach. Is instead of just asking, you look at the type of behavior that person has. So you either ask and you look at the behavior, or you can do both.
So I mean, is it possible? And after this question, you can continue. I apologize. Is it possible to?
All good.
So you have someone you know nothing about that comes to your website, but maybe that person has already been in. I mean, he or she has already been other websites. Can you get information from those websites to then in your B2B website, let's say, offer a tailored experience based on that person, who that person is, but that person hasn't been in contact with you before, like hasn't been in your website or anything before? Can you get data from third-party websites like Facebook Pixel, etc., to show personalized content somehow, or not really because it's not legal or possible? Yeah, is it more or less clear?
I'll answer a little bit. Maybe you'll need to correct me. But like, there's no way that you can use data that are not yours to
Mm-hmm.
personalize. The only way to do it is through paid advertising campaign, where you can retarget people, but this is a paid advertising, or where you can do display advertising on Google and have a personalized advertising. But all of these platforms, all advertising platform, where basically you send those platform information, and then after that they mix all of that information with their other data that they have to create your experience. So it goes much more deeper when you do paid advertising than when you just use your own data, because your own data is a bit limited at some point, unless you are, let's say, Unilever or Procter and Gamble, and and like all of these businesses that have literally like maybe 100 websites. There's no way that you can mix match your data. That's a problem. But for sure, you can definitely use known information, use it within another platform. So one thing that you can do is you can go on LinkedIn and use information that you have about a user, let's say name, logo of the business, position, interest, maybe, like all of these data that you can gather from one person. You can send it from LinkedIn to a landing page to your website. So you can do that by transferring all of this information within the URL. For sure, you cannot do that in plain, because if you do that in plain, you will be against every single laws that are against privacy. So you have to use different type of tactics. We have developed some tactics here in the agency that we can do that. But most people will want to do it in plain, which is not good, because you're not supposed to have all of this information in plain in the URL. And if you have Google Analytics in your website, Google Analytics is not supposed to have all of that information in plain within their platform neither. So that's why you need to have different tips and tricks that we have developed in the agency to be able to get that workaround working.